All right, and we are back. And yes, you hear the music. We are going to be speaking to a South man. And that South man this morning is Kiran Singh, president of the Greater San Fernando Area Chamber of Commerce. And we just want to talk about how the vaccination lines were trickling and now they're overflowing. What changed? Let us welcome Kiran Singh to the program. Good morning to you, Kiran.
Good morning, Natalee. Welcome to the Chamber of Commerce, and good morning to Trinidad and Tobago. It's always a pleasure to be on TTT.
You don't know. It's a place to be, darling. It's a place to be. All right, Natalee. So Kiran, we have seen an uptake in vaccinations, especially in South. Can the Chamber tell us what's responsible for that? Is it that bait and click of the safe zones?
We believe there are two main factors that cause the increase, the uptick in vaccinations over the last few days. One being, of course, the fear that citizens and patrons may not be able to enter the entertainment sector, which is due to open on October 11th. And of course, the second factor is that the US has announced recently that you need to prove that you are vaccinated to enter the US borders. And of course, worldwide travel now requires most countries that you must provide proof of vaccinations. We think that these two factors have led to the recent uptick in vaccinations, and we expect that to continue over the next few days. And of course, with school due to reopen, that is also the added factor to see the increase in vaccinations for students, teachers, and parents as well.
Yeah, so you think it just got to the point where people realize that vaccination is the way to go, because the government has been saying it all along. The government has indicated that, forms 4 to 6 will be able to go to physical schools. The government has been saying, listen, vaccinate to operate. And some people even complained about that tagline. So is it just that, okay, is that eureka moment to recognize that if we don't do this, we really can't enjoy our lives?
Well, Natalie, the thing is, Trinis are so last minute with everything that they do. We wait for the absolute last minute to do everything. And I think that we have gotten to this stage now where people have realized, okay, they have to stop playing around and take the vaccine. It's serious business now. And the only way we're going to get out of the pandemic, which is what we have been saying since the onset, is to take the vaccine. We have a choice. We have so many choices of vaccines. No appointment is necessary. The vaccines are available at all the health centers. Mass vac sites is available whole day, every day. There's literally no reason you shouldn't take it unless you have, as the science says, a medical reason or some other factor that may not cause it. And of course, there will always be some small percentage that will never take the vaccine, and that's fine. But once we get to the herd immunity, where we can completely reopen the economy, then we will be on sound footing to see recovery and economic growth that we so desperately need right now. And we expect that with the budget that the minister is going to pronounce on Monday coming, that he will speak to additional measures and, of course, some relief first within the MSME sector. Natalie.
Yeah, and I know that the SME sector is definitely important to the business community because they need a serious boost at this time. But we have the Christmas season coming up, and I know that during that season there's a lot of movement. So I'm really excited to see the uptake in vaccines. So I'm taking it that the Chamber supports this move by the government to have these safe zones. But there are arguments by some that it's discriminatory. So do you support that view, that this idea that if you're fully vaccinated, you can enjoy certain things in Trinidad and Tobago that realistically you should be able to enjoy whether you're vaccinated, yes or no?
There's an ongoing discussion, Natalie, at the moment. The members of the chamber of the view that it can display or speak to some level of discrimination that some members of society will want to speak to because of the fact that their choice, for their bodies is to not to take the vaccine because that is their right as a liberal choice. We don't have any mandatory vaccination policy at the moment that exists in the country. And there are no laws that speak to that. In fact, Her Honor, Mrs. Deborah Thomas Felix, President of the Industrial Court, made that point quite elucid just recently at the opening of the Industrial Court, where she made it quite clear that you cannot force workers to become vaccinated. Employers cannot do that, as well as the government cannot do that. So the the choices that we have of using moral suasion, incentivizing to take the jab, and to use other forms of communication and discussion with those who are hesitant to take the vaccine is what we are employing at this point in time. So there's a huge debate as opposed to the businesses will also say that how do they turn away a paying customer from their doors who is not vaccinated,
Yeah.
who
Especially
desperately
in
need
this
only a
time.
jab.
Especially in this time when you're talking about, trying to generate economic activity. So I understand the government's perspective that, it needs, to be need people to be able to enjoy that level of safety of having these safe zones. But, are we going to be successful with this initiative if it gets rolled out in later on in October? When you have businesses who are at the bottom line and need every customer that it can get. So do you believe it will be successful?
I think we will certainly see a level of success. It may have the psychological impact of causing those who are hesitant and who have not taken the vaccine as yet to take that plunge and get that job within the next few days, because the fear of being turned away at certain places of business, your favorite restaurant or your cinema, a casino, and so on. I think that will have that impact to cause those who have not taken the vaccine to take it, and
But
that, of course, is what we want.
Kiran,
But we just have to remember.
we keep looking at the patrons and that the patrons might be the ones who are unvaccinated. But why aren't we looking at the employees? Because we have seen over the months where employees have refused to be vaccinated, and according to the industrial court, you can't dismiss somebody on the basis of the fact that they don't want to get vaccinated. So we're talking about the patrons, but what about inside the working place itself? If we don't have those workers being vaccinated, will we be able to do that safe zone, so to speak?
Again, it could speak to discrimination again, because the workers who are vaccinated may suggest that those who are not vaccinated endanger the lives and the safety of those in the work environment. And how do we address that? So the recent discussions that the government initiated with the trade unions, labor organizations, the business sector, and so on, will speak to those initiatives, and we expect to see positive results coming out of that. And we expect to see what we have been doing is having workshops set up at different business environments where we address the concerns of the workers, and we plead, please don't listen to the foolishness, I have to use that word, that comes out of social media regarding the vaccine process, and your hand being magnetized by when you take the vaccine, and who suffers sexually, and so all this foolishness has to change.
Yeah.
We have to learn. We have to speak to the science of what happens when you take the vaccine. It's proven statistically that your chances of survival, lower hospitalization rates, and the mortality rates have fallen drastically when you take the vaccine. It's proven. So
Yeah.
let's get on board and take the vaccine.
It's also proven that your testicular fortitude might be increased when you take the vaccine, but not testicular swelling. I just had to
Yes,
throw that in.
yes, I saw the alternative to Nikki's comment on social media as well, where it can prove beneficial to the male population especially. So let's go take the vaccine.
Yes, yes. I saw Sergeant Alexander, talking about the benefits that he's gotten from taking the vaccine. I didn't want to ask him what they were. I'm curious, though. I'm very curious. I have to tell you that. But Kiran, has the chamber gotten an opportunity to sit and discuss all these variables, considering that one, as we say, we're talking about the SMEs that really need a boost and might not be in a position to say, okay, if you're not vaccinated, you can't come in here. And we're talking about employees who are saying, I don't want to be vaccinated, and those who are vaccinated who are saying, well, I don't want to be around you. And all of these variables plus schools reopening, has the chamber gotten an opportunity to sit and discuss this to say, okay, this is our position?
We are having ongoing discussions, Natalie, and we continue to advocate that there must be collaborative discussions with employers, employees, uh, your families, your friends, those within your circle of influence. Because the only way and we continue to sit to get out of this pandemic and to safeguard yourself, and not only yourself, but those you care about, your family, your friends, and those who are around you, even strangers on the street, is to take the vaccine. Of course, it doesn't mean that you cannot um, attract the virus uh, at some point, but at the same time, it reduces the risk of serious infection. It reduces the risk of you dying. It reduces the risk of your family. We have seen so many reports in the media of entire families
Yes.
being affected from the virus, as opposed to those who have taken the vaccine. This is the only way, and we continue to plead and continue to have ongoing discussions with everyone um,
To get
who are willing to
vaccinated.
hear that this is what we need to do.
Yeah. And I'm happy that we have these mass vaccination sites. As you see, you have the health centers, you have the vaccination sites, and they're open all day so people can go and get vaccinated. And then the thing about it is that we have choices,
Yes,
plenty. And you know what? I think a lot of times we don't give Trinidad and Tobago credit for where it is with its vaccination, because I don't know that there's another Caribbean country who's vaccinated at least close to 40% of its population. So I think
yeah,
we deserve a little kudos for where we are, because
definitely.
regardless of the struggle, is that we got the vaccines, and we didn't just get one vaccine. We have the Sinopharm, we have the Pfizer, we have the Johnson and Johnson, we have, what else we have? The
Astra. I think
AstraZeneca.
there's some
That's
Astra. Yes,
literally, I mean, all left for them to have is Sputnik V and what? What's the other one?
the
And
Moderna.
Moderna. You know what I
Moderna.
mean? But I mean, I don't know that those vaccines are so different from the Pfizer that we have here.
No, the science of all the vaccines are more or less the same. It's a matter of choice. It's
Yeah,
a matter of a brand name. You prefer one over another, and you take that. And that's how we're going to survive.
yeah.
And we have, the thing I want to remind the public is that we have over 1 million doses right now in the country, with population right now at 1.4. So that, Chinese, we like to follow the leader. I think that those who have not taken the vaccine will want to become part of the crowd, become part. How are we going to have carnival next year? How are we going to go to our fete?
Ooh,
We're gonna, they will see you
I'm
don't have no
sure
vaccine,
you
you
hit,
can't come.
I'm sure you hit a spot there, Kiran, because as you say, Carnival, Trinis are going to go and get vaccinated.
Exactly. They're not going to allow you any ban. How are we going to jump up? So you have no vaccine, sorry. That's just what's going to happen. That's just what's going to happen.
You have rockers cracking up in the
I
studio
have,
here.
I have.
All right, Kiran, we do have to go, but let's just talk about the budget presentation is coming up Monday. What is it that the chamber wants to see, especially coming out of the budget presentation from the Minister of Finance?
The view from the chambers, we want to see a stronger conversation, more in-depth analysis of how we're going to diversify the economy. It's been going on for generations, decades. Different governments have spoken to it, but we have not seriously gotten into this discussion. Now we are hearing recently that the prices of oil and gas, the energy prices are increasing, but we have a time lag. It's not going to increase our income overnight. It's going to take some time before that materializes. And even if it does, our oil and gas production has diminished substantially over the last few years. But what we can immediately speak to, of course, is in incentivizing the agricultural sector, the agribusiness development in the country. We have a lot of arable lands. We have young entrepreneurs who are getting more and more into the hydroponics aspect. We also have a southern businessman that was featured in the media recently, who has embarked on the manufacture of solar panels. And just over 2 years ago, when the Minister of Trade, Mrs. Ms. Paula Guppy Spoon, signed on to the International Solar Alliance, that partnership and that arrangement gives us some leeway to address solar equipment, and we can incentivize that. We hope that the minister will address that
Yeah.
and reduce duties and taxes and so on to allow business persons to get more involved in this process. So we reduce the demand on the electrical grid and reduce the demands on natural gas, and we can have a more green economy. We can have lower costs because we hear about the conversation with the RIC that electricity rates, even the water rates, they are
Yeah.
speaking to about increasing. And at this point in time, we have no money to address those concerns, uh, not only from the pandemic, but because of the economy has seen no growth. And as citizens, our income has been reduced.
Kiran, we are out of time, but my final question to you, you know, the government has been toying with, you know, I probably toying is not the right word, but with bringing back property tax. Is the chamber in support of that at this time?
We understand that you must pay tax, but what we are saying is that now is not the right time. We are now getting out of the pandemic. We need some more time before we address an additional tax that is an additional financial burden upon the population. We need some time to breathe, to grow, to increase our incomes. Our incomes have been decreasing over time because of the inflationary impact that we have been having through shipping, through insurance. We see the prices of basic food products going up literally every week at the grocery shelves. The recent announcement that a bread manufacturer prices have gone up will signal that increases will come across the board for other flour-based products. And these are products that we literally need to live. And how are we going to address these things if we keep talking about additional tax? We need to address the income side because the expenses keep going up, but the income is falling. And inflation has to be addressed. We have creeping food inflation at the grocery shelves, at the markets, and even at the stores. And these things have to be addressed in the soonest possible time, and hope Monday that the minister will speak to these concerns.
Yeah. All right, Kiran, we do have to leave it there. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, so do enjoy the rest of your day.
It's always a pleasure to be on TTT, Natalie. Trinidad and Tobago, be safe out there. Take your vaccine. Have a great day.
You know he has to put in the plug, right? Take a vaccine. But I take what he said, the last point about, you know, your income is falling, you know,
That's been my struggle for the past, I don't know, decade or so, is that we keep seeing rises in prices, rises in prices, rises in prices, but the salary staying the same.
Yeah, and the transportation cost has gone up. I just see
everything gone up.
Everything,
except the salary.
So he's saying not that they don't support it, but they need time to breathe. They need time to build back.
And of course, after this pandemic, where we see, of course, we understand that the government needs to get some sort of revenue going as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, is taxing the population the right way to go about it? I don't know.
It's the easiest way, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, but again, a lot of people are not in the catchment. It's the same thing with income tax or PAYE, is that you can only catch who is in the formal sector.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that it's something the government is looking to address. I'm looking forward to that, because when people sit and tell me, oh God, the local fruits man make more than you and I, you know, and the local doubles man, that's just the reality. Because their overhead cost is zero.
I wouldn't say zero.
No, the overhead cost as in the electricity.
But the electricity is zero, but there's still overhead costs. They still have costs that they have to secure to make sure their product is delivered.
I agree. They have to drive to the site.
Let me take a quick break and come back with more inside the Now Bonus Show. When we come back, we're gonna get hot. Stay tuned.